As we grow older, clutter is no longer just about appearance. It's not about having a picture-perfect home. It's about whether your home supports your health, your memory, your safety, and your peace of mind. Studies from UCLA and Princeton University show that clutter increases cortisol, the stress hormone, and overwhelms the brain's ability to focus. For seniors, this doesn't just cause stress, it can create forgetfulness, increase fall risks, and make daily life heavier than it needs to be. That's why avoiding these decluttering mistakes is so important. They don't just waste time, they steal energy, joy, and freedom from your later years. To show you what I mean, let me introduce you to someone whose story may sound familiar. Margaret is 72, a retired librarian who spent decades surrounded by books and order. But at home, her own spaces told a different story. Over the years, she started projects she never finished. She had bags of clothes ready for donation, but they sat in her hallway for months. She had photo albums spread across her dining room table but never decided what to keep. When I sat with her in her living room, she looked around at the piles and whispered, "I don't know how I got here. I feel like I've lost control of my own space." Margaret's experience isn't unusual. In fact, her journey highlights the 5 most common decluttering mistakes that can make senior years harder. Let's walk through them together. Margaret thought the best way to begin was to finally face her sentimental boxes. The photo albums, the letters, the souvenirs from her children's childhood. She opened one box, sat down, and 3 hours later she hadn't decluttered a thing. She had only stirred up emotions, leaving her drained and sad. Psychologists call this emotional attachment clutter. Studies show that sentimental items activate the memory and emotion centers of the brain, making decision-making more exhausting than almost any other category. That's why experts always say, don't start with sentimental items. Save them for last, once you've built confidence from easier spaces. When Margaret finally shifted her focus to smaller, practical areas first, she said, "I wish someone had told me this sooner. I would have saved myself so many tears." The takeaway: sentimental clutter is important, but it's not where you should begin. Start where success is simple, you'll thank yourself later. One weekend, Margaret decided she would finally tackle her garage. Decades of boxes, holiday decorations, broken appliances, and dusty shelves. She spent hours moving things, but by the end of the day, the space looked the same. She was exhausted, discouraged, and she gave up for weeks afterward. This is what experts call decision fatigue. Studies show that when we're faced with too many choices at once, our brains tire quickly, and we stop making good decisions. Decluttering the biggest room first may feel logical, but it usually leads to burnout. That's why the best strategy is to start with a small, daily use space like a nightstand or a kitchen counter. Margaret eventually did this. She cleared her entryway table first. It took less than 30 minutes, but she told me, "Every time I walk into my house now, I feel relief instead of stress." Remember, quick wins build momentum. Don't start with the mountain, start with the pebble. Margaret's closets were filled with extras: broken toasters, stacks of jars, piles of blankets. She told me, "I might need them someday." But research shows that over 90% of just-in-case items are never used again. Instead, they crowd valuable space and create hidden hazards. Experts in behavioral psychology say this type of clutter is rooted in fear: fear of scarcity, fear of letting go, fear of not being prepared. But ironically, these items don't give peace of mind, they steal it. Margaret realized she hadn't touched those just-in-case items in over a decade. They weren't keeping her safe, they were making her home harder to live in. When she finally donated the usable items and tossed the broken ones, she laughed and said, "I feel like I got a new closet back." Ask yourself, do you really want to trade peace today for a maybe that never comes? Chances are, the answer is no. For years, Margaret would move things from one surface to another. She'd pick up a pile of papers, shuffle them to the bedroom, and call it progress. But the clutter never left, it just shifted. Experts say the brain craves order. Without a system, clutter keeps recycling through your home, never truly leaving. The simplest solution: 3 categories: keep, donate, toss. That's it. No fourth pile, no maybe later. When Margaret tried this, she said it changed everything. For the first time, I knew what to do with every item in my hand. Decluttering isn't about shuffling things around. It's about making decisions and giving every item a clear direction. Without that system, clutter will always find its way back. This was the mistake that weighed heaviest on Margaret. She tried to do everything herself. She lifted heavy bags, sorted through decades of belongings, and felt lonely while she did it. Studies show that seniors who declutter with support, family, friends, or even community volunteers, report higher success and lower stress. More importantly, they're safer. Margaret admitted she once nearly fell while dragging a heavy donation bag to her garage. That moment scared her. Eventually, she invited her daughter to help. Together, they sorted through a closet. Margaret told me, having someone there made it feel less like a chore and more like a gift to myself. The truth is, decluttering doesn't have to be a lonely battle. Support makes it safer, lighter, and even joyful. When Margaret reflected on her journey, she said something that stayed with me. I thought decluttering was about things, but it was really about how I was treating myself. The mistakes she made, starting with sentimental, taking on too much, keeping just in case, lacking a system, and trying to do it alone, weren't failures. They were lessons. And when she shifted her approach, she didn't just clear clutter. She cleared guilt, stress, and fear. That's the real power of avoiding these mistakes. It's not about a cleaner home, it's about a lighter heart. So here's what I want you to remember. Decluttering is not just about space, it's about your well-being. But only if you do it in a way that supports you. Avoid these 5 mistakes, and you'll find the process gentler, more meaningful, and more successful. Tonight, I want you to choose just one small area, a drawer, a table, a shelf. Use the 3-pile system, and notice how it feels when the space is truly clear. That one step can be the beginning of a whole new season of peace. If Margaret's story resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with a friend, and subscribe for more compassionate guidance made just for seniors. Because your home should not weigh you down, it should lift you up. And it's never too late to begin.